Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and welcome to a new Quran study. And inshallah, today we're gonna read from Surah 28, starting with the verse 60. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, and I seek refuge in God from Satan, the rejected. Verse 60. Everything that is given to you is only the material of this life, and its vanity. What is with God is far better and everlasting. Do you not understand? Is one whom we promise a good promise that will surely come to pass, equal to one whom we provide with the temporary materials of this life, then suffers eternal doom on the day of resurrection? With these two verses, God is teaching us to focus and value, what lasts forever over what is temporary in this worldly life. And the thing we have in this life, don't last long and are not, important as what God offers, which is, the eternal offer. So as we know, even if we live, in this life many years, like maximum, let's say 100, 200, which is impossible anyways, it's nothing, compared to eternity. And we know, that this life is very short, in the big picture of eternity. So, this verse is a reminder for us, to focus on growing our souls, which is eternal. The only thing that we have is our souls. Everything else, it's just, it's gonna be vanished. And that's the true investment that we should focus on. Um, Also, God reminds us, to in that he's aware of our actions, and our actions have consequences, and that what God promised us is, in the hereafter is much more important than anything we can get in this life. So we should really be wise and follow God's teaching, so we can, get his eternal reward, inshallah. 62. The idols disown their idolizers. The day will come when he calls upon them, saying, "Where are those idols you had set up beside me?" Those who incurred the judgment will say, "Our Lord, these are the ones we misled. We misled them only because we ourselves had gone astray. We now devote ourselves totally to you. They were not really worshipping us." It will be said, "Call upon your idols to help you." They will call upon them, but they will not respond. They will suffer the retribution and wish that they were guided. So, mashallah, in these three verses we just read, it's a warning about, the day of judgment. The people who worshipped idols will realize on that day, their mistakes, and because the idols will not be able to help them, and those who led others astray will admit their own errors. And so these people will all face the consequences on their actions and regret not following the right path. So what we can learn here is that relying on idol worship and leading others astray will ultimately lead to regrets and punishment on the day of resurrection. And the verses reminds us to stay true to our belief in God alone and avoid misguiding ourselves and others. Um, 65. Our response to the messengers. On the day he will ask everyone, how did you respond to the messengers? They will be so stunned by the fact on the day they will be speechless. As for those who repent, believe, and lead a righteous life, they will end up with the winners. Your Lord is the one who creates whatever he wills and chooses. No one else does any choosing. Glory be to God, the most exalted. He is far above needing partners. Your Lord knows the innermost thoughts hidden in their chests, as well as everything they declare. He is the one God. There is no other God beside him. To him belongs all praise in this first life and in the hereafter. All judgment belongs with him, and to him you will be returned. MashaAllah. So, mashallah, these verses describe something that it's gonna happen on the day of judgment for sure, and which is everyone will be asked, how um, they responded to God's messengers. So on that day, people will be, most of the people will be shocked, and unable to speak. Um, because they didn't respond to God's messengers. And however, on the other hand, the minority, I think, you know, who repent, believe, and lead a righteous life, and follow the guidance, respond to God's message, will be, saved and rewarded by God's leave. So God has also, he mentioned that he has the power, to create and choose as he wills. And he, alone deserve all praises. Um, Also, God mentioned that he knows everything about us, both our hidden thoughts and our actions as well. Um, so that's why we have to be careful and be righteous on both sides, thoughts and actions. So also we should, learn the importance of listening to God's messengers, you know, before it's late, because we see, uh, in the verses we see that people will be shocked and speechless, and we should avoid that, scenario. It's very scary, and because God's sent messengers have mercy from him, and we should respond to him. We should be follow his teachings, and in order to be saved in the day of resurrection. Um, we should repent, believe, and lead a righteous life. So in order to be among the winners in the end, inshallah. Um, verse 71. Um, God's blessings. Say, what if God made the night perpetual until the day of resurrection? Which God other than God can provide you with light? Do you not hear? Say, what if God made the daylight perpetual until the day of resurrection? Which God other than God can provide you with a night for you to rest? Do you not see? It is mercy from him that he created for you the night and the day in order to rest during the night. Then seek his provisions during the day that you may be appreciative. So, mashallah, it's a very good reminder for us to reflect on God's blessings. And especially this verse is talking about specific blessings from God in creating both day and night, you know, which is something important for the human life. And as we know, scientifically, the Earth rotation causes the day and night, you know, providing a natural rhythm for rest and activity. So if we imagine, for example, if it were always night, we would lack, the sunlight, which is necessary for our warm vision and the production of the vitamin D, which is important for our health, as we know, and many other benefits. Um, the same way, if it were always day, the lack of darkness also would distract our sleep and distract our sleep, which is also important for our physical and mental well-being. So, mashallah, this cycle allows us to rest at night and work during the day, showing God's wisdom and mercy in creating a balanced environment for us to live. So we need to be appreciative for these natural cycles as blessings from God alone, mashallah. 74. Idols possess no power. The day will come when he asks them, "Where are the idols you had fabricated to rank with me?" We will select from every community a witness, then say, "Present your proof." They will realize then that all truth belongs with God, while the idols they had fabricated will abandon them. So here it shows that on the day of judgment, people will be asked about their idols that they worshipped, and they will realize that, finally, that only God is the truth, and their idols have no power, you know, and will actually abandon them instead, um, and that's very, shocking for them on that day. It's very um, terrible. So we learn that, from these verses, that only God has the true power and nothing else has any power to benefit or harm anyone else. MashaAllah. That's why we should be, devote our worship to God alone, because He's the one who have the ultimate power. 76. قارون. Okay. Qarun, the slave driver, was one of Moses' people who betrayed them and oppressed them. We gave him so many treasures that the keys thereof were almost too heavy for the strongest band. His people said to him, "Do not be so arrogant. God does not love those who are arrogant. Use the provisions bestowed upon you by God to seek the abode of the hereafter, without neglecting your share in this world. Be charitable as God has been charitable towards you. Do not keep on corrupting the earth. God does not love the corruptors." So So here, mashallah, God is telling us a story about Qarun, the slave driver um, of Moses. So, I mean, no, one of Moses' people, yeah. Anyways, so God is telling us about the story of Qarun, who was blessed with, immense wealth, but he became very, very arrogant and oppressive towards his people. Despite he became very rich, he failed to recognize that his success was due to God's blessings, not just his own cleverness. Um, and the lesson here is to use the blessings, given by God to benefit others and prepare of the hereafter, while also, not neglecting our responsibilities in this world, because we are living in this world as well. So, um, so Qarun's story reminds us of the consequences of being arrogant and neglecting God's guidance, as we know that even the strongest and largest, civilizations before him faced, terrible consequences for the same reasons, for their transgressions, mashallah. And um, yeah, yeah, okay, so 78. No, 77. Yeah, 77. No, I think I read 77. 78 now. Okay. 78. He said, I attain all this because of my own cleverness. Did he not realize that God had annihilated before him generations that were much stronger than he and greater in number? The annihilated transgressors were not asked about their crimes. So, mashallah, that's what we just explained. He 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 should be clever than that, to um, learn from the generation that before him they faced the destruction for their transgressions, and that's the God's system will never change. So we should learn from that. For us too, it's a lesson for us to to learn that any arrogant tyrant or transgressor, people who are very arrogant, um, will ultimately face the same consequences. That's God's system, mashallah. um 79. One day he came out of his people in full splendor. Those who preferred this worldly life said, "Oh, we wish that we possess what Qarun has attained. Indeed, he is very fortunate." The real wealth. As for those who were blessed with knowledge, they said, "Woe to you! God's recompense is far better for those who believe and lead a righteous life. None attains this except the steadfast." So, this verses shows, the attitudes of different group of people, towards, um, wealth of Qarun. Um, First, some, admired his material success, wishing that they could have what he had. Um, And however, those with knowledge and faith, warn that God's rewards is far greater than this worldly um, um, wealth that Qarun has, because they are wise and they are guided by God, and they know that um, no matter what how we have in this life, it's not from our cleverness, it's our from God, and we should use it, to help others and to help our souls and to grow our souls, to be charitable and stuff, and not to be arrogant and harm people and stuff that's not gonna benefit us, no matter what we have, you know. And what really lasts forever is righteousness, following God and His guidance. That's really needs a lot of steadfastness. What it mentioned here too. This it says none attain this except the steadfast. MashaAllah, and we should be among those steadfast people. Um, uh, 81. The tyrant, the tyrant's inevitable fate. We then caused the earth to swallow him and his mansion. No army could have helped him against God. He was not destined to be a winner. Those who were envious of him the day before said, now we realize that God is the one who provides for whomever he chooses from among his servants, and withholds. If he were not for God's grace towards us, he could have caused the earth to swallow us too. We now realize that the disbelievers never succeed. The ultimate winners. We reserve the abode of the hereafter for those who do not seek exaltation on earth nor corruption. The ultimate victory belongs to the righteous. However works righteousness receives a far better reward. As for those who commit sins, the retribution for their sins is precisely equivalent to their works. So, mashallah, as we see here in these verses, it shows that Qarun's arrogance leads him to uh, what it's the downfall. When the earth swallowed him and his wealth, and that's God's system, mashallah. That's a lesson for us. It shows that this worldly, um, the worldly power, of Qarun couldn't protect him against, divine justice. And that's all, always the same with any arrogant person. So we see here in this verse, those who envied Qarun before realize that only God provides and determines who receive it, the provision, because sometimes this wealth is and success is just a test for us for us to see how we will behave, how if we will be appreciative or not, charitable or not, it's just a test. And we see here very clear that Qarun failed the test, so he got the consequences. And people, after sowing his, I mean, the retribution he got, they realized, that, oh, that's that's not what we were thinking. Like God is the one who provides, determine all this. So it teaches us, that the true success comes from righteousness and not seeking power or causing harms to others. Um, and also living a righteous life and avoid corruption lead to the ultimate victory. That's the true victory. MashaAllah. Um, 85. Surely the one who decreed the Quran for you will summon you to a predetermined appointment. Say, my Lord is fully aware of those who uphold the guidance and those who have gone astray. You never expected this scripture to come your way, but this is a mercy from your Lord. Therefore, you should not side with the disbelievers, nor shall you be diverted from God's revelations after they have come to you, and invite the others to your Lord, and do not even fall into idol worship. You should not worship beside God any other God. There is no other God beside him. Everything perishes except his presence. To him belongs all sovereignty, and to him you will be returned. MashaAllah, it's very nice reminder for us, that God has revealed this Quran, MashaAllah, this Holy Script, and He will, hold us accountable for this blessing, because the Quran is a blessing and a mercy from God, and we should be appreciative, and we should not, side with the disbelievers or the idol worshippers, as God mentions in these verses. Um, um, we know that everything in existence will eventually perish except God, the only God. Um, so, as a result of all these messages, um, we must, worship Him alone, and knowledge that, all the sovereignty belongs to Him alone, and that's why we need to, stay steadfast, uphold God's teachings, and avoid any distractions that can lead us away from Him, so that so that, so that we can succeed in this life and the hereafter, God willing, inshallah. So inshallah, I'm gonna stop here, and if you have any comments or questions, mashallah, thank you.
MashaAllah. Thank you so much. Great study.
Mashallah.
Yes, SubhanAllah. The example of Karun is a very good reminder for us, I mean, and especially I like the fact, I mean, how verse 80 has a subtitle, the real wealth. So, how people are running after wealth and money is on their minds 24 hours a day, Many people worship money because money is their idol, they think about money all day long. And God makes it so that they're always needy and they're always running after money. Even if they have millions of dollars, I mean, they're still thinking about more money, and they're still poor and needy in that sense because they're not rich, because they're not satisfied with everything that they have, and they still need more and more. You know. And but God says the real wealth. I mean, imagine if people understood what wealth was. I mean, people are going and hoarding money, thinking that is gonna save them, and that's what is gonna give them happiness. That's what is gonna last. That's what is gonna secure their future, right? And we understand that that's not really the case. For most people, it's a retribution in this life and the hereafter, source of retribution, their money, their children, their spouses, and especially if you make them your idols, like so. When God talks about people who hoard the gold and silver and not spend in the cause of God, I mean, God says it'll be heated on their backs, right? So it's a source of retribution. They'll regret. But the real wealth is, it says, as for those who are blessed with knowledge, said, God's recompense is far better, So, of course, God's recompense is eternal. God's recompense, God's guidance, His guidance is a blessing for us that's going to provide us the eternal wealth. I mean, our eternal abode, our eternal place where we're going to live is dependent on our guidance, right? Not how much money we have or how much money we can make, right? And so if people believe that, of course, their priorities would be completely reversed, you know, and of course, they would be working towards, asking God for forgiveness and repentance and everything else. But we know clearly that's not the case in this world, and people are just uh, crazy after money and hungry, and they're just hunting each other like wolves for getting whatever they can get their hands on by hook or by crook. I mean, people are out there trying to get wealth from people who don't even have any money, and whatever little they have, they're trying to snatch from them too, right? Um, yeah, the other day, like it reminds you, the other day I came across this scam where these people were trying to get money from people, trying to promise them a job, right? Uh, and and get them scammed by getting money from them. So they say, we'll give you a job, and then you apply, do this, and then you pay $36, and then you pay $36, you know, and then that's it. That's the scam. They get the money, and that's it. So it's like there, people have definitely, obviously, people kill each other, murder people for money because they don't believe in the hereafter. They think this money is everything that there is to this life and all that is gonna make them feel good and live well, right? I mean, we know all that. But just a reminder for us to keep that in mind and keep things in the right perspective. Inshallah.
Subhanallah, brother. Subhanallah, brother. Yeah. You see, most of the people that are working or striving for money, all they do is just focus on the money. The money is their God, and then they supposedly they want to leave like a good amount for the children and stuff like that. But again, all that is evil, because they're more focused on material things and
Yeah.
then
Yeah, I mean, we live in a
subhanallah.
crazy world where people
Yeah,
murder their family members for money, right? Their own
right.
parents, their own siblings, their own children, even. God says people kill their children, abortion, right? People kill their children due to fear of poverty, right? They love the money so much.
Subhanallah.
Um, yeah. So people will kill, people, so many women kill their husbands, right? Or all kinds of crazy things,
Yeah,
or men kill their wives, whatever. So,
yeah.
um, I mean, it's ridiculous. how people are just, God says, they love material things excessively. And we
That's true,
see
brother.
Karun, didn't help
Yeah,
him.
right. And you see, like you see, like with David, he was blessed with wealth and with money as well. But he always
Hmm.
had God in his mind, right? So
So
you see
is,
the
yeah,
different
Solomon also, yeah.
Solomon, right? So you see
Hmm.
the different stories, the wicked and the
Hmm.
righteous,
And they were the richest people that
right?
existed, like
Right.
even if you find the richest man on earth, he doesn't compare to how much, material wealth God had blessed, Solomon with, right? It doesn't compare, because imagine, like, how would you put a price to someone who has invisible giants working for him, and they
SubhanAllah,
can
right?
travel at the speed of light? Imagine,
Yeah.
like, you can drill an oil field anywhere you want. You can
That
get as much
controls the
gold,
wind and animals,
yeah,
you
yeah,
can't beat that. SubhanAllah.
yeah. You can go extract minerals, most precious
Right.
minerals, from anywhere on earth, right? Get oil
Right.
fields, drill, you know, wherever you want. I mean, the jinns could even go and tell you where all those fields would be, with their special, God-given abilities, based on how they can travel through things, right? So,
Yeah. SubhanAllah.
yeah, inshallah. Yeah, a good point. Yeah, so I mean, Karun was uh was not Egyptian, you know. He was a Hebrew person, and he was oppressing his own people because he was given money, and a position, and so he didn't care even about being disloyal and cruel to his own people. That is definitely also something to think about. you know. And, I mean, enslaving his own people, for another nation, for another race, I guess.
SubhanAllah, brother. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
Hmm.
That's horrible. Just for the money, that's how
Hmm.
like exposes the wickedness in him.
Hmm. Yeah, and
Um,
even in today's popular culture, if you look, how money is glamorized. It's not even the same as it was before. Like, people are singing about people are thinking about how much money they have, and like how much gold they have, and like, for example, all these rappers and stuff, I mean, how they talk about this stuff, and the women and all this stuff, right? I mean, they try to make it um, appealing, and they think that this is something to be proud of. Materialism. I mean, it promotes materialism, right? People who listen to this stuff then start thinking, yeah, this is what life is about. This is what is going to make me uh, a good person, or I don't know, a better person. uh, Anyways.
yeah, brother. Mostly all the songs. There's even like one song. I'm pretty sure a
Hmm.
lot of people are familiar where he's saying like he's gonna take the money to the grave, and and all these
Oh,
corrupted things. And
oh, really? Which one is that?
it's I think Drake sings it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Okay.
mostly all of them sing similar. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
rap similar things.
Mm-hmm.
It's just pointing out Satan's point of view. Like mostly all these
Mm-hmm.
songs,
Mm-hmm.
they just talk about wicked things.
Mm-hmm.
But they're gonna be the ones, on the day of judgment. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna
What's
regret
the
all
name of
these
the
things that
song? Do you know the
happened.
name of the song?
I'm not sure, brother. It's probably called that. Like I'm gonna take it to. I'm not sure though. I
Uh-huh.
just heard it a couple times, like in the radio.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm
kind of a
gonna
long story
check
where
the
I heard it.
lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah, Money in the Grave. It's called Money in the Grave.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
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 Yeah, when I die, I put my money in the grave.
Yeah.
I really gotta put a couple of niggas in their place. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at it, I mean, so says dead broke is in your DNA.
When you're you were talking about that. That's like the first thing that got that like I forgot totally about it, and then you were talking about
Mm-hmm.
how these people sing these songs and
Mm-hmm.
always talk of like they point that point of view of material things, and that came
Mm-hmm.
up. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh yeah, that song is all about that stuff.
Yeah, it says ain't about to die with no money.
Yeah. And it's like that's exactly what's gonna happen, They don't even have no knowledge. They're crazy. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anyone has any other comments? So Brother Hussein said we should create a structured examination to assess our attachment to money. Can we use a self-assessment questionnaire and examination with questions that we can score to get a better understanding of your relationship with money? I think I think the best thing is, like the messenger says, think like when he says who's your God, you think about your God. Like think about whether money is on your mind most of the day, right? I mean, because if the money is not on your mind most of the day, money is not your God most, like something else is. Either God is your God or some other God, right? But if you thinking about most of your day just going about thinking about money, that's something that is very easy. Um, like you would just know. And I mean, what is something that you love is obvious based on what you think about. If you think about money most of the day, that means you love money more than anything else, or think that that's what your life depends on and that's what you need. You know. So, I mean, I think that's a pretty simple uh, measure. Not, and it's just not for money, of course, it's for anything else. Our spouses, our children, our anything, our own self. A lot of time, people idolize themselves and all this stuff also. Um, but mashallah, I mean, God is reminding us that also in verse 83 about the ultimate winners. God says, "We reserve the abode of the hereafter for those who do not seek exaltation on earth or nor corruption." Right. So, people who seek exaltation, like praise and recognition, and let's say fame and all this stuff in this world, those people are obviously, they have their priorities messed up, and they're not going to be, looks like, They're not going to be the ones. I mean, people who seek exaltation are the ones that will even, do righteous things for show off and praise and recognition, to create an image that they want so people can respect them and consider them righteous and honorable. Many people, I mean, the world is full of people like that, right? Most people that we see that are given to charity and all this stuff, um, they're doing it just so they could, um, you know, appear like righteous. Many people are doing it so, for other reasons too. Some people are doing it for tax evasion purposes and other things, but to save money, you know. So may God help us and be one of those people that God says that we shouldn't be diverted by anything else, from remembering God. God says they're not distracted by their businesses or their money or anything else from remembering God. Yes, so anyone else has any comments or questions? Mm, yes.
What's off topic? What's considered tax evasion? Like if you don't pay your taxes, I mean, there's some people that just don't pay it, and then there's other people that write off as much as they can, like with
Hmm.
the fines.
Yeah,
Because
I
I
was
mean,
just saying,
even
like,
the IRS isn't even is a
mhm.
corporation. It's a
Yeah, yeah,
it's not a government entity. It's a
of
corporation. It was gonna
course.
get I can't
Yeah,
so I'm just wondering, like, making sure I'm not, because I
yeah,
do
yeah.
try to
No,
write off a lot. I
yeah,
just
no,
want to make
Marcel,
sure I'm
that's
not
fine.
messing up.
That's fine. My point
Okay.
was, yeah, yeah. My point was, there's nothing wrong with writing stuff off. My point was
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
people have intentions other than pleasing God to give to charity, you know,
Oh. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because they're doing it not to help people. Like for example, like give
Mm-hmm.
you an example, like in Pakistan, for example, it's very common. I've noticed that people when they build their homes, next to their house,
Mm-hmm.
like some wealthy people, next to their house, part of their house, next to it, they'll build a mosque, and I think it
Uh-huh.
has to do something with their local laws to help them evade
Uh-huh.
taxes.
Oh
So,
wow. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, they're doing it not to please God. They're building a masjid, all this stuff, not to please
Yeah.
God, but
Oh
they
yeah.
could
They're
be,
not. It's not
yeah,
genuine. It's just they're
yeah,
just doing
yeah,
it just to
yeah,
run from.
yeah.
Yeah. Because
And
if
many
they
of them
couldn't
are,
pay, yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
like you're saying, yeah, if they couldn't pay, like if they didn't have to pay those taxes in the first place, they wouldn't even build it.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
maybe those
That
people are like
makes sense.
smugglers and all these kinds of people.
Yeah. Uh huh.
And they're just doing it
Okay.
to cover up their tracks
Hmm.
and also, save money. That's the purpose of doing this stuff.
Yeah, and instead of
Like,
like using like extra maybe money to spend in the
mm-hmm,
cause of God,
mm-hmm,
or
mm-hmm,
fund some type of
mm-hmm,
advertising account. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, brother, for
mm-hmm. Yeah, no problem.
clarifying.
Also, we noticed that verse 87 is talking about invite. the others to your Lord, it says, right? 87. It said, nor shall be diverted from God's revelations after they have come to you, and invite the others to your Lord, and do not ever fall into idol worship. So it is important for us to, invite our close friends, family members, if we get a chance. Of course, God doesn't expect us to like be like, door to door preachers.
Right, like the Jehovah Witnesses.
Yeah, I didn't want to
Yeah,
say
that's funny you say that. There was this guy, and he actually sent the Quran to like the corrected
it.
Quran, the authorized translation
Hmm.
to his son, and he was really interested. And a lot of it, I was talking to him about it, and
Hmm.
I told him about the mathematical miracle, and
Hmm.
a lot of people that I'll just tell, God alone, and explain the two
Hmm.
satanic verses and how the
Hmm.
code exposes that. It baffles these people. It gets them so interested,
Hmm.
and so it's just
Hmm.
good to see. And I mean, even this guy's son was like super
Hmm.
interested. I heard him on a phone
Hmm.
call. He's
Hmm.
16,
Hmm. For
which is
some reason, I picture us going door to door, three
uh,
of us. I've said
oh
for, for some reason, I picture us going door to door in Texas.
yeah. I mean, who knows? We'll be
You can
submitted witnesses or something.
take the uniforms.
Yeah,
We can dress like thugs.
yeah,
Just to spread the word.
yeah. We could get a bunch of Quran printed too. You know.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's good.
So.
Yeah, I gave a few, the Quran. I think you had posted up or where you can buy on Barnes and Noble and stuff. I gave like two
Hmm.
people so far, and they
Oh,
like it.
mashallah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
good,
God willing,
mashallah.
I'll get some more. I forgot.
Hmm.
I need to order some more.
Hmm.
Yeah, mashallah.
Mashallah. Yeah, mashallah. Also, I think Huda shared also about the night and the day, right? How it's a blessing from God that we have the night and the day, and if God made any of these perpetual, I mean, life would be impossible on earth. And it's a blessing from God that we recognize, we see every day in front of our eyes. And of course, imagine, I mean, something as, I mean, of course, Earth is not that big, really, as far as God is concerned, and, all the other planets, all these giant stars and stuff, and galaxies, but just relatively comparing to our own size, I mean, something like that is so huge, right? All these continents and stuff, God is moving them every single day, right? Around in such a precise manner in these orbits that we use that as calculation devices. I mean, how amazing that is, just to think about that. I mean, it doesn't even get delayed or get advanced, like even by like a fraction of a second. You know, that we have such precise timings, right? I mean, it's not even like a year later or 2 years later, let's say, the sun will set at a different time. It's going to be the same time every single time on that day, right? Like if you see the sunset on July 9th is going to be at, let's say, 5:38. It's going to be the same in 10 years from now on July 9th is going to set at 5:30. It's not going to be 5:37 or 5:37 and 30 seconds. It's going to be exact, right? And God is, I mean, how amazing. just to think about, right? I mean, how God is doing this, and the fact that obviously,
mashallah.
it's just such a. I mean, it's not just like the Earth itself was just moving in an orbit, right? I mean, the whole thing is moving.
Hmm.
The galaxies are moving, the sun is moving, all these things are moving, but yet those orbits are so amazingly precise and calculated. Um, mashallah.
Mashallah. Yeah, that's so true. It's like the fact that all that's calculated. It's to
Mm-hmm.
show people because it's like we also have the example. I think it's like the die or something example where if you roll it 86 times trying to get a certain common or some type of combination or permutation,
Mm-hmm.
it literally becomes impossible. Like it's like blowing
Mm-hmm.
up a factory and then saying a diction or the printing press. If you blow it enough times, a perfect dictionary is gonna somehow just form. With each word, and it's yeah. Yeah, and there's so
Mm-hmm.
many different galaxies too. Like
Mm-hmm.
like I've on this little group online where they these astronomers post their pictures, and sometimes it takes a week to capture like with their high tech cameras.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's different names of these galaxies and nebulas, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
it's so amazing. You know, it's really cool because there's different
Oh.
colors, different
Mm-hmm.
formations and stars, and
Mm-hmm.
like this one happened
Mm-hmm.
this many years ago because a star just
Yeah.
decided to do this, and it's just so
Mm-hmm.
interesting. You know.
Yeah, mashallah. I mean, it reminds me of when I got the Oculus, those 3D virtual reality headset. There was a few of those experiences that you could have in full 360-degree up and down and sideways, right? And you could go look around within some of those pictures, and yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. Like I mean,
That's cool.
it looks, yeah.
Cool.
I mean, it looks nice when we see in a picture, right? But imagine if you
Mhm.
were actually there in the galaxies
Yeah,
looking at
yeah,
these
yeah.
things, I mean,
Now you're making me want to get
subhanAllah.
one.
Yeah. Well, I returned it after some time. It got annoying
Yeah,
after a while. Yeah, but it
yeah,
really, if you want to buy it, that's probably the only reason to buy it.
yeah, yeah. No, it could be worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so cool. And that's
Yeah.
just like the Oculus. I mean, imagine like being able to, if
Mm-hmm.
you could one day travel or something, or like see
Mm-hmm.
that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying in this life, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's so many proofs for people. They kind of like the Quran says they pass by them heedlessly,
Mm-hmm.
and because I mean, if we have the instinct, and if you look at
Mm-hmm.
Abraham, he's a great example. Like he didn't have any, like he was able to deduce without worshiping any idols, that there's a Lord of the universe, because he's looking at the stars and the moon
Mm-hmm.
and stuff, and he thought about it. You know,
Inshallah.
but yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, because even that guy, like it, he asked the same question. I mean, I used to have my dad. It's like, being taught Christian nonsense. I mean, idol worshiping Christian nonsense, not true Christianity, but that's long gone. But it's like, well, what about all the people that came before Jesus? What about, are they going to hell? You know, it's just, they didn't know
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. If he's the only way, and a lot of them don't have an answer. And then, funnily, a lot of them will actually tell you they are. I've heard people that say, well, that's just too bad. Like they didn't, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So
mashallah, it's amazing that, churches are dying out,
yeah,
more
they
and more
are. You
people
didn't
are
you
getting
share
disoriented.
something? Yeah, you shared
Mm-hmm.
something like a year ago, or last
Mm-hmm.
summer. You had posted
Mm-hmm.
it was like app from the Apple News, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they saw it was like statistics. They saw a huge decline. They can't even get people to start coming. Like these, people are leaving.
Mm-hmm. Mashallah.
That's
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going through some really interesting times in terms of submission. You know how God says that in the Quran that submission is going to prevail, and we have the mathematical code, pointing to this generation, and how we see this generation is so different from the previous generations. Like, and as the messenger talks about how they're rebellious, right? and we see that
Mm-hmm.
they're discovering stuff on their own, and they're not going along with the popular culture, as in terms of like whatever their parents have taught them, right? They're questioning things for themselves. I mean, obviously, that also means that they're going into other things, that like all the LGBTQ stuff and all this other
Right.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And some people want to be a cat or whatever. But there's people that are discovering things about religion, about God, and especially now with, like, I think some of the based on those political events, I mean, people are realizing like how these people from other religions had been trying to demonize the Quran,
Yeah,
uh,
that's what
and
this
lying
guy
to
was
people,
saying.
right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and this guy, he actually, yeah, he was in Iraq,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, he
Right.
had a lot to say about the Zionist Jews too, and he's from this
Mm-hmm.
country, like he was in the military, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for lack of a better word, he hates them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They're because I mean, not the of course we have to clarify, we're not talking about righteous Jews and stuff, but like
Mm-hmm.
your typical Talmudic
Mm-hmm.
Ashkenazi Zionist Jew. That's
Mm-hmm.
he knows a lot about that stuff too. That kind of talks, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like you saying. People are because all the information, the information that's being spread,
Mm-hmm.
and which is good. Like these people, they also think they're plotting and scheming, by doing these attacks on and trying to alter the news, but it's just raising more eyebrows. Like God
Mm-hmm.
said, he plots. Against they think they're
Mm-hmm.
plotting, but like him and angels are
Mm-hmm.
um you know
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's like that part where it reminds me of the part where the messenger of the covenant talks about how the cat is out of the bag, and Satan, uh, is just has realized, this is in the new era, he has realized that he can no longer, control, Earth and his subjects, and he's just throwing his hands up in the air,
hmm
and in the same manner, like, you can see that Satan is not able to even do this thing with the defaming the Quran and submission. It's ultimately going to prevail in the same way. Now the information thing is pretty much out of hand, like with the media and stuff. Like, they try to
yeah
control what people think and believe,
hmm
but people have there's so many ways, so many outlets
yeah
to
subhanallah.
get the facts, mashallah.
hmm
So I think it's only a matter of time where you will see, like, this I think this explosion of submission in the world. These, especially, I believe, this new generation. The new generation is the one that's going to accept it, right? I
hmm
mean, you already seen. I mean, I already see, like, signs. In itself, of course, you see people coming into submission more frequently than in the past, right? But also, you see, like, a wave of people discovering the Quran, and just people accepting the Quran, like, out of instinct, even, you know, and all
hmm
these kind of things. And it's to a point where it's becoming like fashionable almost, that you see these, especially women, discovering the Quran and sharing it and stuff, and you can see the rebelliousness, like, even though, like, some of these things are considered very taboo in their
hmm
society. I mean, they don't care, and
right,
they will
right.
make a stand either way, you
That's
know?
good. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's subhanallah.
mashallah. So this is verse 3 you posted from which surah is this? The Arrangers?
I think Surah 3. I pasted in Chat GBT, and it says, I can't speak. It says, saying about what you do not do. Yeah, yeah. Most abominable
Mm-hmm.
in the sight of God is that what you say that you do not do.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Surah 3. Uh, yeah, yeah. Brother Hussein said yes.
No, it's not Surah 3.
Al Saf. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Surah 3 is El Imran, right? Yeah, Chat GBT. No, it's Ayah 3. That's verse 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
Yes, Saf is it means rose, right? So it seems like
The heights.
uh
I think the heights. Yeah. ChatGPT called it the ranks, but the only thing I could think of that sound is the heights from the messenger translation.
oh no, I was thinking about the
Yeah, it's a good way to like it reminds me of the verse of examine
the
thyself.
column, yeah. Surah
Oh, the
61.
column. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The column.
So
No, yeah, that's true.
mhm.
uh
So 60.
Yeah, like I
Most
remember the.
violence of you
I
say what
think.
you not do. Yeah, yeah. That's the verse.
Yeah, I think I
So,
remember maybe
but
the messenger talked about it. Like you said, if you're telling or
mhm.
inviting somebody to do the five contact prayers, you better be doing it yourself. You know,
Mhm.
or the dawn prayer or something.
All right. So, anyone has any off-topic questions? Also, maybe we can talk about that. Any questions, comments? Yeah. So I had a question. I just want to hear other people's thoughts, right? So it. We know about this audio that I think I've mentioned before, where the messenger of the covenant is talking about disowning someone who declares disbelief, and he's giving the example of somehow giving this example of a beggar. This because this is how the question was asked, and they said, if there's a beggar and he somehow declares his disbelief, um, would you help them? And he says, yeah, if a person's declares his disbelief, the messenger of the covenant said, no, you don't help them. You run for your life, right? And so, I mean, then I thought about that, and then there's also, the verse from the Quran about how, and I have a follow up on that, right? Question on that, right? So then there's a example of Abraham. He said that he told his father that he was going to ask forgiveness for him. He says, "My Lord is forgiver. I'll ask my Lord to forgive you," or something like that, and paraphrasing. And so then God says that the only reason he asked forgiveness for his father was because he promised him to do so. And so, in general, I mean, we understand that God wants us to keep our promises, right? But this was a promise that was wrong. Like he wasn't supposed to do ask forgiveness for him, but doesn't matter the fact that he had made a promise. He still, God says, he still made a mistake by actually asking forgiveness for him, right? So it was a mistake Abraham made. So I thought about that in context of, like, let's say, someone who has an agreement with someone to help them in some way, let's say, and then they realize that this person has declared their disbelief. Let's say this person is a relative or something, right? And you find out that this person has disbelief and declares their disbelief, but you have an agreement with this person, let's say like a written agreement that you're going to help this person, right? And so I thought about that, and I thought about the fact that, okay, what if a beggar is asking you for money and you're not supposed to help that beggar in that example, and you're supposed to run for your life? Then how would it be in a situation where you have an agreement with someone else and you're constantly paying them money because just because you have an agreement with them, right? It's kind of like made me think that it's kind of the same arrangement, and I came to the conclusion that it is wrong, that that if a situation like that should occur and you find out, I mean, you made the agreement, but you probably didn't know at the time when you made the agreement that this is, or that this is going to be the end case, right? Um, but let's say the situation changes, let's say you have a daughter or something like that, right? And then you realize that they have disbelieved and they have disowned you and you have disowned them or something like that, right? So, and let's say you have an agreement. I think I pretty much gave out all the details. um so in that situation, like, how do you guys feel that, do you think that's something that makes sense, or just wanted to hear the people's thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't look at it as like breaking a promise, because if it changes, the person changes. Like if I'm giving money
Mm-hmm.
to my dad, but he declares like he's disbelieved and he's pretty much on the path he's at. He's destined for hell. There's no hope for change, and this is just an example. Then
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna help that person, because I mean, literally, even that
Mm-hmm.
money, a fraction of that money could be used to help somebody else that actually believes. So
Mm-hmm.
I think if I'm funding the enemy somehow, one way or another,
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in funding someone. But definitely,
Yeah.
if there's potential, like the beggar, that could, or like a homeless person or something, that like you run into on the street, I'll give them a little, because maybe they could get, they could come across the message somehow or something. But but I mean, even if someone like that, if they're openly telling me they worship Satan, like, and like they're like, doing all this,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like satanic cross, I don't know, just stuff in my face. They're like, they're holding a sign, but they need help. I'm not giving that person any money, because they're
Mm-hmm.
literally an enemy of God. And I think with maybe the example or a theoretical example you gave, it's just a little trickier, because I mean, if they're not open, to them,
Mm-hmm.
it's not apparent, like, to the public eye, like, okay, yeah, this person disbelieves in God and is worshiping Satan. But I mean, as we know, you can still worship Satan.
Mm-hmm.
And the Christians do by worshiping anything that you're, not worshiping God alone, or you have idols or some type of something that's not um, in line with God. But,
Mm-hmm.
it's one thing. Like, if I think if there's hope for the person, that they could change. But I mean, if they've like if they professed, I think there's like verses about like if you profess
Mhm.
complete disbelief and like given all the everything
Mhm.
about this person, like Abraham
Mhm.
eventually like thought I knew enough about his father, then he washed his hands
Mhm.
of him, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's really not breaking a promise, because it's like if the situation changes, like if this person like becomes super evil, then I'm not funding
Mhm.
them. No way.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not going to get any
Right.
charity or any help from them at
Mhm.
all.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's just me though.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I think that
But
what disowning should be, right? I mean, you can't disown
yeah,
someone and still be supporting them,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Because I mean, just even like disowning to me is complete cut off isolation. Like you don't
Mhm.
do
Mhm.
have anything to do, because I mean, even in the process of exchanging money, like you have to talk to this person, and then you don't want them infecting you or anything, and
Mhm.
with any ideas. And I mean, even if you're
Mhm.
solid on your beliefs and they're solid on their
Mhm.
disbeliefs or whatever idolatry, it's still
Mhm.
like that's the way I look at it. Like it's complete,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
running for your life. You don't run for
Mhm.
your life and then like turn back and give them some money and then keep running and then turn back and like, oh, or even running, or you'll drop like little coins and stuff for the
Mhm.
person if they're chasing after you. You set them, because you
Mhm.
just that's just kind
Mhm.
of but yeah, for the God, I guess I would prioritize God over any
Mhm.
promises.
Mhm.
Like if they really are an enemy of God, then definitely. I
Mhm.
mean,
Subhanallah, yeah, brother, like John just said right now. That's what I agree to.
Mhm. Mashallah.
God is more important than
Mhm.
the promise. And talking about the verse too, when Abraham when Abraham asked for forgiveness for his father, God makes it clear that he made a mistake. But
Mhm.
like you're saying, Brother Suleiman, yes, it's a little, but I will agree like what we just talked about. I think that makes the
Mhm.
most
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, mashallah. Yeah, praise be to God. So, yeah, I mean, if there are no other comments or questions, then God willing, we can conclude our study. So, thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Huda. This time I'm not gonna call you sister. Last time I said. So, thank you for thank you for leading the study. God willing, our next English Quran study would be on Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. God bless you all. Assalamu alaikum.
God bless you. Salam alaikum, everybody.
God bless. Salam alaikum.